So with the season right around the corner, I had to get together with other talented content creators. Today, I'm here with Chris Griffin from the Horns Down podcast. How are you today, man?
Hey man, I'm doing great. OU faithful, OU nation, OU DNA. If you got that in you, stand up right now. Okay, coming from the great city of Norman, Oklahoma.
I love it. I love it, man. I'm really excited to have you here because I'm excited for what we have to talk about today. Y'all are moving over to YouTube. We're going to link all that down in the description. So everybody watching, everybody listening, y'all be sure to check them out. They do great work. We're going to team up with Seth when he gets back feeling better, doing all three of us get together.
Yeah.
So that's going to be great, man. But, when I'm thinking about the OU season and it's right around the corner, I can't help but wonder, especially from an outsider looking in, I really want to hear your perspective. If you had to give me an offensive and a defensive player you were really looking towards this season, what would your names be?
So, Ty, this is where I come in with kind of a few names that I want to name
Okay,
off.
I love it. I love it.
So let's go offense first. Okay, so obviously we know everybody's enamored by the new toys that we have, even the new toys that we have coming back with Kennedy Brooks, Eric Gray. You're adding Mario Williams, Jalil Farouk, Cody Jackson, so on and so on. But what about experience? I think that matters as well. So you got two players coming into their third year with the Sooners in that Lincoln Riley offense, and I think that they are primed and ready for an amazing year. And those two players that I'm going to name are Theo Weiss and Jaden Hazelwood. Contrary to popular belief, I believe that Jaden Hazelwood is 100%, and I think that he's ready to go out there and show why everybody labeled him the next, CD. If you just go off of last year, listening to what Theo Weiss has said about his, last season, about how he played kind of up and down. I thought he had a great year, for what it was worth, especially playing with, a brand new quarterback. Granted, Rattler is really talented, but still trying to figure out that system, the X's and O's, not having a real camp to go and, build that relationship or that chemistry. But when you just go off of their freshman year, off of Jaden Hazelwood's freshman year and what you figure that he can be, I think that he's going to, break that glass ceiling and be amazing. But then when I look at Theo Weiss, I look at a guy who's just, he's so fundamentally sound. And then on top of that, you look at his route running and his route tree. Both of those guys have great route trees. So I'm eager to see, what is this chemistry that they built with Rattler over this period of time with the spring camp, with winter camp, winter ball, spring camp, summer camp, and now fall camp. You're just looking at them just to really explode. And I think that when you add guys on the perimeter like Mario Williams or Mike Woods, you're looking at those guys and saying like, hey, this is your time to really go and solidify yourselves as some of the top wide receivers in the nation. If I'm going on to the defensive side, I'm looking at names like Woody Washington. I think Woody Washington is going to be, absolutely amazing this year. When you look at him, you're like, hey, I think that's a guy that you find, besides Woody Washington, you can also say DJ Graham, but Woody Washington and DJ Graham made a lot of plays last year, but just Woody has that it factor for me. The next two players that I would say would be Jeremiah Cradell and Billy Bowman. I really kind of think it's just a hat toss, a coin flip, as far as who's going to really, take over that nickel position, so to say. When you look at Billy Bowman, you're saying like he's the athlete that you want there at that position. When you look at Jeremiah Cradell, you said, hey, he had the 4 stars coming out of high school and he was highly touted. But you also say just experience-wise, he can think the game probably a little bit better than Bowman. And then I would throw in Justin Harrington and Keith Lawrence. Those are two names that I don't think we've heard enough about. Everybody's kind of wondering, like, how are they going to fit in? How are they going to fit in? Because when you're looking at, secondary, you're saying, okay, well, we got Pat Fields. We have, Turner Yale back there. And you're saying, okay, well, they've been solid. But, I know a lot of people would say, "Oh, Chris, why are you not talking about Perrion? Why are you not talking about Jalen Redmond? Why are you not talking about Clayton Smith or anybody on the defensive line?" I say, "Hey, look, that's all. That's what everybody else is talking about." But if you just ask me, I think that this is the year that you finally, I mean, after everything is all said and done, you say, you know what? OU, their secondary is back. Their secondary is there now. Like those are some guys back there. And I think that all the names that I just mentioned, I'm excited to see them play. And I'm excited to see them just tear up college football this year.
Yeah, I'm going to keep to the defense to start it off with, just because that's where you left off. And actually, I hate to be boring. I thought I was going to come in here with a bit of a hot take, and you took one of the names right from me, but I absolutely agree. And that's Billy Bowman. And look, all bias out in front, I got to watch Billy Bowman play in high school multiple times, right down the street from where I live. So I saw him and Jatavion Sanders play a lot. Austin Jordan, one of my good friends, is his cousin. So I'm pretty familiar with that Ryan team. But even bias aside, that young man has got it. I mean, he is unbelievably talented, and he only proved it during the spring game. I think that the fact that it was that close in the spring with a talented player, right? It's not like he's going up against nobody. Cradell, to your point, is a really solid guy, really talented player. And the fact that freshman Billy Bowman is making it that close, I just have a feeling that he's going to see the field this year and just be too good to not take off the field. Someone who I'd written down while you were talking, and I had to square it because you brought them up, is Key Lawrence. We've heard some of the players from OU talking about how unbelievably athletic he is, and he was highly regarded coming out of high school. He's someone who I'm going to be watching just to see out of curiosity, but I'm interested after I give my offensive guy what you think Key Lawrence's role is going to be, because, when we're looking at that DB room, there's not a whole lot. I know that you lost some guys, but there's not a whole lot of room to just add people in right now outside of just rotation pieces. I mean, it is a legitimate competition at some of those spots right now, which is exactly what you want to see. That's what iron sharpens iron. My offensive guy, I don't think is going to be super surprising to people who've been watching my channel. Eric Gray. I've been screaming to the heavens about Eric Gray since when he entered his name into the transfer portal, and specifically with y'all, with what Lincoln Riley does with his offensive system, with how Spencer plays quarterback. And then you look at DeMarco Murray. I mean, I think when you put all of these things together, his versatility is going to open up things for people outside of himself. So, whether that be Marvin Mims, Theo Weiss, Hazelwood, I think his impact is going to go a lot further than just the stats he offers at the end of the year. It's going to be something like a lot of your great running backs here recently. When you have somebody that versatile, a defense always has to respect them. Are they coming out the backfield? Are they running between the tackles, stretch? Those type of versatile guys are so fun because they really, really put pressure on a defense. But I'm really interested. Let's double back to Key Lawrence real fast. What do you think about him? Because he is a super talented guy.
Key Lawrence, it's just the size. And I think that you could also look at Latrell McCutcheon, and you can also, say the same thing. Coming out of high school and getting Latrell McCutcheon, that was, in my opinion, and I think I speak for a lot of OU fans, that was probably a bigger get than Caleb Williams, because you're sitting there saying, oh man, we just got a guy that Alabama, that Ohio State, a lot of those teams would normally get. But the point being is that, look, we haven't seen size like that and athleticism like that come in that secondary in a while. I mean, I think you could probably go back to like Reggie Smith or so. I mean, just to drop a name, but it's been a while since you've legitimately seen somebody in that secondary. You're just like, oh, wait, okay. I think that Key Lawrence, going back and seeing some of his film and seeing some of the things that he did in Tennessee, you're looking at a guy and saying, I think he translates to that defense that Grinch is running. I think that when you look at him, you say, that's a guy that actually can go and contribute. We've had extremely solid play from Turner Yell and Pat Fields, but I think that he just ups the bar a little bit, because now you're going to see him and, excuse me if I mispronounce his name, but Bryson Washington. When you see Bryson Washington out there as well, you're looking at those guys and you're saying, hey, we finally have somebody who can come in and give those guys breaks. If not give those guys breaks, take their spots. So it's the thing about, like you said, competition. We haven't had that around Norman on the defensive side of the ball, especially in the secondary in quite a long time. And I think that you saw that this is where they were going with that mass exodus of players a few years ago. When you see people like Key Lawrence, I mean, they're everybody from Lincoln to Spencer to everybody on the defense, and say, hey, these you walking through those halls and you see these defensive players, you go into those position meetings and you're like, hey, this looks different. We haven't seen that. So it's just a player like Key Lawrence. I think that he's going to add, athleticism, another key contributor, another dependable contributor. And I think just the best thing about it is that, you're getting somebody who's already experienced, somebody who's already been through the wire. You're not having to, rely on, okay, yeah, you got a 5-star freshman coming in fresh out of high school. You have somebody who's already played. I mean, I think the same thing can be said about Bryson Washington as well. Maybe he hasn't gotten the reps, the game reps that you would like, but he's been in the system for, I believe, 2 or 3 years. So you're looking at him and saying like, hey, the sky's the limit for this defense. And I think that not only does it ride on the front seven, but if you look at that back half of the defense, you're saying, man, we can make something happen this year. Something special happen.
Yeah, the names on it, there's no doubt. I mean, I think the thing you bring up about the size is a really great point, because Key Lawrence coming out of high school, that's why everybody wanted him. You don't see guys that big that move the way he does, and that's why everybody wanted him, and that's why it's so great y'all get him.
I was just gonna double back on the Eric Gray. I think so. Here's where I'm at with all of that. So I go back, when I'm doing my cardio and whatnot, I'm always watching OU stuff. Watch a lot of your stuff, especially, but I'm watching a lot of just the games from the past years, and I've watched the entire 2020 season over and over again. And I'm just sitting there saying, like, man, I wish we had Ramondre one more year. I guess it's because I really like that power back that was also a downhill back that could just, hit a hole and he could be gone. But he wasn't a home run hitter like Eric Gray has the potential to be. So I think that with Eric Gray coming into his offense, what I'm most excited about is seeing him be able to hit one hole and just go. I think that's kind of what a lot of people are expecting out of Kennedy Brooks this year. If you go back to the year that he played with Kyler, Kennedy Brooks was he saw one opening, he was gone. He was off to the races. It wasn't, him being patient and doing all these things. It's just the offense different when we had Jalen. But when you look at Spencer Rattler, he's a willing passer. He's going to thread the needle. He can put it anywhere that you want him to if he has time or if he's on the run. But when you have a threat like that really opens up things. And obviously with the, wide receiver core that we have this year, is going to open up a lot of things for the running game and vice versa. But you're going from kind of a power run game with the Jalen year, and then more so when you cater to Ramondre when he came back last year to kind of like a more speedier backfield. And you're looking at, Eric Gray, and you're saying like, hey, we'll give you the key to this, we'll give you the key to the lamb, but you got to do something with it. So I'm not going to pump the brakes on the excitement, but I am going to be a little bit more patient than, other OU fans are right now.
I hear you, and that's completely fair. I think when I look at Eric Gray, the reason why I am so excited for him, it all boils down to the one word that we kept hearing from the coaching staff and DeMarco Murray in the springtime, and that was versatility. DeMarco, he just kept hammering down like we're looking for that versatility. And these running backs that have that versatility have become of such high importance, right? The guys that you can get hurt by them any which way. And I think that as much as I'm excited for Eric Gray and his personal ability, it's probably that I'm excited that he's in Lincoln Riley's system, right? Like that's probably the overarching thing is his ability in that system is huge to me.